Isang makabuluhang araw po sa inyong lahat. Sa punong guro ng Basic Education Department ng Manuel S. Enverga University Foundation, Ma'am Reyna Pasumbal, sa lahat ng mga guro ng Basic Education na ang High School Department ay dating kilala bilang Secondary School Department o SSD, lalo't higit sa mga hindi tumatandang guro namin noon na hanggang ngayon ay patuloy pa ring nagbabahagi ng karunungan sa mga mag-aaral. Ma'am Fe Barchana, na malapit sa aking puso, Ma'am Melanie Jala, at Sir William Berzo. Isang pagbati rin po sa mga kawani ng basic education na kasama natin ngayon. Sa mga magulang ng mga magsisipagtapos, alam ko po ang hirap dahil nakita ko po ito sa aking mga magulang. At higit na pagbati sa mga mag-aaral ng departamento na sinubok ng iba't ibang hamon sa mga nagdaang mga taon at patuloy na hahamunin sa inyong paglisan sa paaralan at susuong sa mas maraming pagsubok sa inyong pagtungtong sa mas mataas na antas ng pag-aaral. To be honest, bata pa lang ako, probably in elementary, I saw myself becoming a guest speaker. Lo and behold, I am speaking before all of you, sharing how my experiences and life lessons brought me here, both literally and figuratively. Hindi ko masabi kung ako ba ay isang ordinaryong mag-aaral lamang noon. I held positions in student council. I was part of the publications of the Junior Luzonian, which brought me to Cebu for the National Schools Press Conference. I was first honorable mention when we graduated. This may seem extraordinary for some, but behind this were challenges that held me back kahit nung bata pa ako. Before coming into high school, I came from Lucena East 8, a public school. Lumaki ako sa Lucena City at nakita ko ang paghihirap ng aking mga magulang para mapagkasya ang pang-araw-araw nilang kinikita. They were both factory workers sa Ludesco, a manufacturing company. Palagi kong naririnig ang aking nanay na manghihiram ng pera para makapagbayad pa sa isa pang utang. Ganun ang palagiang nangyayari. I know we are poor, but we are not sad. May mga bagay o pagkain na para sa iba ay basic needs, pero sa amin ay luxury na. Apples and oranges, for us, are for special occasions like Christmas and New Year. Hindi ko rin maalala kung nagkaroon ba ako ng bagong sapatos. My clothes were mostly hand-me-downs, which is either too big or too small for me. Mulat ako sa katotohanang malayo sa pagiging marangya ang aming buhay. Naalala ko ang mga pagkakataong dumalo kami sa mga celebrations ng pamilya ng aking pinsan. Maganda ang kanilang bahay, 4 ang kwarto, maraming laruan ang kanilang mga anak, meron silang kotse, and koi pond. Right? Koi pond. Napatanong ako sa tatay ko kung bakit sila mayaman. At sabi niya, kasi nakapagtapos ang pag-aaral ang aking pinsan. Nakapagtapos ng pag-aaral ang aking pinsan. At ngayon ay nagtatrabaho na sa real estate company. Anong course niya ng college? Tanong ko. Sabi ng tatay ko, accounting. Sa pagkakataong iyon, nasabi ko na ganun din ang kukunin kong kurso. That moment, I already decided that I will finish my education. Oo, bukas ang aking kamalayan na ang aming pamilya ay hindi biniyayaan ng karangyaan. Ngunit sa mga sandaling iyon, alam kong mayroon akong isang bagay na hindi ko dapat bitawan. Ito ay ang aking pangarap. Mahilig akong mangarap. Ang pangarap natin ang magdadala sa atin sa kung saan man natin nais pumunta. Ngunit, hindi sa lahat ng pagkakataon na ang paglalakbay na ating tatahakin ay isang tuwid na daan na walang balakid, humps, or obstacles. Habang kinakamit na natin ang mga mithiin natin, hindi natin namamalayan na magkakaroon pa ng setbacks ang ating biyahe. Panandaliang roadblocks, flat tire, heavy traffic. I got into high school backed with an academic scholarship since valedictorian ako nung elementary. But there can only be one top one. So I lost the scholarship. Second year through fourth year ay naitawid ko sa pamamagitan ng scholarship mula sa Batch 75 ng Luzonian University Foundation High School. Malaking pasasalamat ko sa kanila dahil kung hindi sa kanila, wala ako ngayon dito. I just have this innate trait ng pagiging madiskarte. Back in fourth year, last year in high school na-relocate ang family ko sa Batangas. We were affected by the construction of that mall here in Barangay Ibabang Tupay. Tago na lang natin sa pangalang SM. Hindi ako pwedeng sumama kasi last year ko na. Sayang to start anew. I stayed in my aunt's house. During those times, walang trabaho ang pareho kong mga magulang. Madalang lang silang makapagpadala ng pang-allowance ko, kaya naman kapos lagi ang budget ko. Most of the time, maglalakad ako papasok ng school at pauwi dahil nga sa kakulungan ng finances. Dahil nga madiskarte ang lolo nyo, kailangan kong umisip ng paraan. At doon ako nagsimulang magtinda ng espasol. So, alam niyo naman kung ano yung espasol, right? That grayish kakanin made of glutinous rice in white powder and wrapped in a thin paper. Yep, nagtinda ako nun. And I'm proud to say that. Special shout out kay Ma'am Barchana na sobrang suki ko noong mga panahong yon sa pagtitinda ng espasol na itawid ko ang aking pang-araw-araw na buhay bilang isang estudyante. Diskarte na sinamahan ng kaunting kapal ng mukha, I was able to survive. But life continued to challenge me. Dahil sa sitwasyon ng aming pamilya, naisip ko na going to college will be a struggle. Saan nga naman kukuha ang aking mga magulang ng panustos ko ng pang-college, wala silang trabaho. Pero alam nyo, some things really work mysteriously. Maybe the universe is telling me na yes, you can go to college for free. One morning, the top students from our graduating class were called, informing us that the Alumni Association of Luzonian University Foundation High School Batch 66 was looking for a deserving student for a scholarship. College tuition, allowance, and books will be covered. We were interviewed one by one. I shared my story, the challenges I encountered, and how I emerged from those challenges. Luckily, after a week, I learned that I was chosen. Sobrang saya ko. As in, katuparan na yun ang mga pangarap kong mag-college. Masayang nakakaiyak habang binabasa ko ang congratulatory letter. And that was the first encounter with the dollar sign na para sa akin. May $40 allowance ako every month. So it's a big deal for me. So you know what? I realized na may mga times sa buhay natin na yung mga negative situation or yung mga challenges natin can be our stepping stone to change our current narrative. Kaya sa LUFHS Batch 66, thank you so much for that help that changed my life forever. Kung nung high school achiever ako, dumating ang college, medyo nabawasan ang fire ko. My grades were bordering the scholarship requirement. I did not graduate with Latin honors. It was quite disappointing. Kasi hindi ko pinush yung sarili ko to go beyond what I can do. In modern lingo, I just did the bare minimum. Pero alam ko sa sarili ko that I could have done more. But more than myself, I felt sad for the people who have helped me with my college scholarship. Kakahiya. Dahil I felt that I failed them. But thankfully, I was able to graduate from college with the degree that I wanted as a kid. Pero hindi natapos doon ang pag-aaral. Lalo na kung aspiring certified public accountant ka. May licensure examination pang kailangang ipasa. And here comes more challenges in my life. Hindi naman dahil nakatapos na ako ng kolehiyo, okay na kami. Na maginhawa na ang buhay namin. We we were still struggling. Pero kung malaki ang naging tulong ng aking kapatid na nagtatrabaho sa ibang bansa para makasurvive. Literally a day after graduation, impake ako agad ng gamit para makapagtrabaho sa Maynila. Automatic, kailangan kong magtrabaho agad para makatulong sa aking pamilya, unlike others na magre-review na agad for the CPA exam. With that, I am helping my family and at the same time, saving money for my CPA review. Akala ko pupunta na ako sa exciting part. Kahit walang job offer, bumiyahe talaga ako pa Maynila. Mayroon din akong picture sa isip ko na ang Maynila ay ang New York ng Pilipinas. Sabi nga sa kanta, concrete jungles where dreams are made of. Kapag galing kang Maynila, tapos uuwi ka ng probinsya, feeling mo successful ka na. And one funny anecdote about why I wanted to work in Manila, kasi nakakaputi raw ang tubig doon. So gusto ko kasing pumuti. Ang tubig daw doon may chlorine na nakakapagpaputi. So I really want to work in Manila. The Manila that I dreamt before was the same Manila which caused major heartbreaks for me career-wise. Unang Manila heartbreak. Ang unang job offer na nakuha ko ay para sa isang call center. Working in the call center requires working on graveyard shift. Nag-train ako for a month tuwing 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Magsisimula na sana ako ng trabaho after the trainings. I was informed na hindi ako pwedeng tumuloy dahil nagka-problema ako sa medical examination. Hindi kinaya ng katawan ko ang kawalan ng tulog. Umuwi muna ako ng Lucena, umuwi akong malungkot, thinking I was a failure. Once a door closes, windows of opportunity will open. After my failed Manila stint and gaining my health back, nakahanap ako ng trabaho bilang sales accountant sa Talipan, sa Pagbilao. At doon nga ay unti-unti na akong nakakatulong sa pamilya ko. May feeling of accomplishment na. Habang nagtatrabaho rito, I unexpectedly found an email from my college scholarship sponsor saying that they will shoulder my expense for the CPA review. The said email was a year old already in my inbox. Luckily, kahit isang taon ko bago nabuksan at nasagot ang email, available pa rin ang scholarship for my review. Babalik ulit ako ng Manila. The greatest setbacks in my young career happened at these times. Hirap na hirap ako sa review. It was physically and mentally exhausting. Hindi matibay ang foundation ko way back in college. Pero ayoko munang bumalik ng Quezon. I always have that feeling that I was defeated. Kaya nagsipag ako. Sinaga ko talaga ang review. Yung saying na burning the midnight oil, nasunog talaga ako. I always had that feeling, papasa na ako agad. I was confident. But I was wrong. Second heartbreak of Manila being handed to me, after 4 years in college, 6 months in the review school, I got the heartbreaking news. I did not pass. Alam mo yung pakiramdam na tila binuhusan ka ng malamig na tubig. Takot ka. Parang namanhid ang buong katawan ko. Pati buong pagkatao ko. Namalayan ko na lang naglalakad ako sa Recto Avenue na hindi ko alam kung saan ako pupunta. Next thing I knew, I was ugly crying and saying sorry to my father. Sorry ako ng sorry, nahihiya ako. Nahihiya din ako sa mga taong tumulong sa akin. That same feeling when I graduated from college without Latin honors. Kagaya nung unang heartbreak, umuwi ulit ako sa Lucena. For a week, hindi ako nakipag-usap sa mga tao. Nahihiya ako na parang wala akong mukhang may harap sa kanila. Hindi ako makain. Gusto ko lang humilata maghapon. Heartbroken yarn? LOL. Tapos, nalaman kong 2 points lang ang kulang ko para makapasa. From there, I felt a fire in me. Hindi ako titigil hanggat hindi ko nakukuha ang 3 letra sa hulihan ng pangalan ko. Ayan uli ako, starting over again. Nagkaroon ako ng trabaho sa isang reputable company. Parang consolation for not passing the board exam. But that job taught me so many things. I also had this boss who pushed me to try again for the CPA board exam. She became a mentor and a friend. After 3 years in that company, pakiramdam ko handa na ulit akong mag-exam. Nag-enroll ako sa isang local CPA review school. Sobrang challenging to work and study at the same time. So kudos to all working students out there. Then, I took the exam again. Unlike the first try, I had low hopes that I'll pass. Mahirap ang exam. Kakaibang mga tanong, but this time, alam ko na kung paano mag-handle ng failure. I already know how to navigate that feeling. I thought I was stronger. I was prouder than ever. Ang katlong saksak sa puso ko, I failed the CPA exam yet again. Pero may magandang balita na naipasa ko ang 4 out of 7 subjects, meaning I was a conditional CPA passer. Yung mga subjects na hindi ko naipasa, iti-take ko na lang uli at kapag naipasa ko na, finally, magiging CPA na ako. But for now, half CPA pa lang. Much has changed. Lumipat na ako ng ibang company. Explored more opportunities, learned new skills, improved my communication, experienced dealing and leading with people. Literally, marami akong natutunan. 3 years had passed and I took 2 months off to focus on the CPA exam. I cannot afford to fail. Not this time. Every night, before sleeping, I imagined myself seeing my name in the roster of the CPA, successful CPA passers. I have pictured myself crying because I was happy that I passed. I simulated that feeling of success and happiness, the feeling of excitement and joy. I took the exam, but now I was more relaxed and calmer. Result day came. My schoolmate called me and gave a news that changed my life forever. The news that made my younger self dreams turn into reality. I finally passed the CPA exam. I was jumping for joy. Next thing I knew, I was ugly crying over the phone, telling my parents, Nay, Tay, may anak na po kayong CPA. Maraming mga nangyari sa akin after passing the CPA exam. Alam nyo na kahit after passing the CPA exam, akala natin things will be easier career-wise. I was working as a finance analyst. In that company, sobrang mahigpit ang competition. Everyone is eyeing for a raise or for a promotion. I did the best that I could. I read books, I attended trainings para makagain ng skills and knowledge. Feeling ko naman, I was delivering output and had exceeded their expectations. Pero apparently, it wasn't enough. I was eyeing to be promoted, but ayaw nila ibigay sa akin. I felt like I deserve a raise, but I did not speak up. Then finally, I had it. I drafted my resignation letter and pasa ko na lang the following day. Bahala na, kahit wala pa akong malipatan ng company. July 2016, I had a wonderful once-in-a-lifetime opportunity na maging OFW. I had a job offer to work as a sales accountant in a car dealer in St. Martin, Caribbean. I wanted to have more so that I can provide more para sa family ko. Hence, I ventured abroad after having this heartbreak from my previous company. Yes, St. Martin is a paradise. Imagine waking up every morning, seeing the white beaches na parang normal na lang in your everyday life. Overall, I had a beautiful life there in St. Martin, but it was not easy adjusting. In my contract, I'll be working as a sales accountant, right up my alley. But no, they assigned me as logistics assistant for my first 6 months, my probationary period. It's my make or break moments. I had no idea how to build cars in their system. I don't even know different parts ng cars. I was afraid that I would not make it. Sinabi ko sa sarili ko, I cannot go back to Lucena yet again kasi I did not make it. I don't want that part to become my story. I needed to do something to change my current narrative. You know what I did? I studied every night different cars, different make, different sizes, different engine type. I asked questions to my boss about the operations. I took notes. Pinakita ko na talagang masigasig ako sa pagtatrabaho. I showed up at work early in the morning and even stayed late after work. I was literally locking up the showroom. On the side note, 5 p.m. ang pinaka-late na uwi sa St. Martin. So, still not bad pa rin. I got an email of appreciation from my bosses because they saw how I was eager to learn and deliver what they had asked of me. Dahil sa pagsisipag at pagpupursige, I was able to pass the probation period. After 6 months, fortunately, I was assigned to finance department right where I belong. But my stint in logistics has taught me valuable information. It made me grow not just as an employee, but also as a person. It made me realize that magic happens when you're out of your comfort zone. September 2017, dito naman sinubok ang aking mentalidad at ang pagkatao ko na maranasan ko ang near-death experience from Category 5 Hurricane Irma. Category 5 is the strongest. So coming from the Philippines, I thought, sisiyo na lang hurricane. But I was wrong. We were literally inside the eye of the hurricane. That moment, habang binabayo ni Irma ang isla, I was just inside the bathroom. Hawak-hawak ko yung pinto para hindi mahigop ng hurricane. For almost 8 hours, ganun ang eksena. I was tired, sleepy, and wanting to give up. Sa sobrang lakas ng bagyo, the four walls of the bathroom, anytime magko-collapse na, I was ready na mabagsakan ng pader. That time, I was ready to die. But for a moment, my only concern was how would my family get my body if I will die here today? My inner self said, no, this will not be your narrative. Marami ka ng pinagdaanan sa buhay. You will survive today. Matatapos ang bagyo, you will go out from this bathroom because I believe I have a story to tell. This is my one great story to tell. By God's grace, the hurricane left the island and the rest is history. One lesson that I learned while I was in St. Martin, that life is a gift. You always have second chance to life every day. You have the power to change your narrative kahit maraming setbacks at mga pagsubok. So, my New York City story. So when I was in St. Martin, I reconnected with my sponsors in college. I updated him about my work and life in the island. Dahil nga on my first 6 months, frustrated ako sa work bilang logistics assistant and fearing that I would not make it, he offered me a job in his auditing firm in New York City. Sabi niya, pwede niya daw akong i-petition to work in the USA. On that date, after passing my requirements and documents sa kanya, I started to feel excited about working in New York City. New York City na to, active pa ba ako? Kagaya ng ginawa ko on my CPA journey, I started to manifest. Inisip ko na yung pakiramdam na nasa New York City. Kahit in real life, hindi ko pa nararanasan. Yung wallpaper ng desktop ko was the Statue of Liberty. Every night, I would just imagine myself walking sa kahabaan ng Fifth Avenue with my snow boots and just feeling the snow. I started listening to New York songs or every songs na may lyric na New York City or New York. And that good news came 7 months after. My work visa got approved. New York City, Here I come. Alam nyo, after 6 months in NYC, yung feeling na nasa pelikula ka. Feeling mo everyday nasa isang malaking set ka. But kagaya ng isang pelikula, hindi lahat maganda ang flow ng story. Of course, may mga challenges, may conflicts. Kagaya ng communication. I must admit na noong una, hirap na hirap akong intindihin ang mga New Yorker kasi sobrang bilis nilang magsalita. Nakakatawa nga kasi siguro mga 3 to 5 words ang naiintindihan ko. Mga keywords, ika nga. And funny how our brain works. Pinagko-connect niya yung mga keywords. Sa awa ng Diyos, nakakapag-communicate naman ako. Pero I know that the communication needed to be improved, lalo na if you are working in New York. New York is fast-paced, so kailangan mabilis talaga ang pick up. I have managed to have American friends, and slowly by slowly, I started to improve my communication. Hindi nila alam, pinagpapraktisan ko sila. Alam nyo, one of the coolest thing here in New York City is that they are very into titles. So during the pandemic, since naka-work from home kami, I took the opportunity to take the US CPA board exam. I studied for 9 months. I was able to pass the CPA board exam, and currently my New York State license is in process. While studying, naisip ko ulit yung Philippines CPA story ko. Alam ko na ang ending if hindi ako mag-aaral ng maayos. Alam ko na ang conclusion if tatamad-tamad ako. Kaya nagpursige akong mag-aral at ibigay ang 100% para maipasa ang 4 subjects or sections ng CPA exam nila dito. Dito 4 na beses akong nag-take at 4 na beses din akong pumasa. Iba kasi ang board exam dito. Mas candidate-friendly. Ikaw ang mag-i-schedule kung kailan mo gustong mag-take at ikaw ang bahala sa pacing ng pag-aaral mo. Sana sa Pilipinas din. It feels good after passing the final subject. Wow, CPA na ako dito sa Amerika. And to be honest, ni sa hinagap, hindi ko naisip ito way back in college. But here I am now. Ngayon naman, after 4 years and 2 months, nag-grant na ako ng green card dito, which is a big deal, especially sa mga Filipino first-generation immigrant na kagaya ko. Now, I would not feel like I am outside looking in. Now, makakauwi na ako ng Pilipinas at mabibisita ko ang family and friends without having to apply for another visa. Sa kabila ng lahat ng magagandang nangyari sa buhay ko, patuloy pa din akong mangangarap. Para sa akin, para sa nanay at tatay ko, at para sa pamilya ko. Every day, while commuting papunta sa work, or just waking up, knowing that I am alive and working and living here in New York City. May mga moments ako, may mga times ako na naiiyak sa subway. Naiiyak ako kasi sobrang thankful. Lagi akong may flashbacks about where I started. Na naririnig ko yung nanay ko na mangungutang, yung pagbebenta ko ng espasol nung high school, yung ilang beses akong hindi pumasa sa CPA exam, yung mga times na walang-wala kami. Naiiyak ako kasi who would have thought from my humble beginnings sa Lucena City, and now here I am in New York City. I am thankful that everything made sense. I am thankful kasi nakayanan ko. I was able to rise above the challenges. I was able to change my narrative. Aside from working in the company I am in right now, there are things that I'm enjoying here. To document my life here in the Big Apple, I'm doing a vlogging on the side. You may visit my YouTube channel, Pinoy in New York, and subscribe to add up to my humble numbers of subscribers. The vlogs I made were mostly of my travels within and outside of New York, and some clips on giving tips on how you can attempt to live your American dream. I also ventured in opening a mini online business where I sell clothes and other items, though it did not prosper well. All of these are attempts that we may take in life, and probably we can find one or two things which works for us, then turn into something worthwhile, something that increase our finances, or simply add up to our excitement and fulfillment. Ang haba ng kwento ng buhay ko. I have the option to just focus on some chapters, but this very momentous celebration, I decided to go all out and pour my all. So maybe in one of those experiences, you might have gotten something that will keep you going forward, going further in your young lives. Yes, early years of my life, ang dami na agad challenges. Alam kong ganun din ang iba sa inyo. Araw-araw may mga hamon tayong kinakaharap at kakaharapin pa. Pre-pandemic, we are faced with some family issues, financial problems, peer pressures, academics, name it, lahat kayo. Lahat tayo bilang estudyante ay nakaranas niyan. Then comes the pandemic, lalo na tayong nahirapan. We were forced to study at home. Ang iba sa inyo, walang makakatulong sa pag-aaral sa bahay. May iba na maaaring ang oras ay nakalaan sa pagtulong sa mga mas nakababatang kapatid para sa kanilang pag-aaral. Walang stable internet connection. Meron pa sa inyong mga magulang, kapatid, kaibigan, kamag-anak ay marahil tinamaan ng dreaded disease. We were all bothered, scared, anxious, unsure of what's ahead of us. But look at you now. Isipin nyo ang mga kaklase nyo, ang batch ninyo. You started out as young newbies, scared of what the academe holds for you. Anong klase ang guro ang kakaharapin ninyo? Anong uri ng kamag-aaral ang araw-araw ninyong makakasalamuha? Anong mga problema ang araw-araw ninyong kakaharapin? Dumating pa nga ang pandemya. It added up to your worries. But being equipped with the quality education and values instilled to us by our institution, by our beloved Manuel S. Enverga University Foundation, you will never go wrong. You may be faced with a lot of adversities. An Envergan dreamer will be brave enough to face your future. With your dream in tow, you can create your own narrative. Ikaw ang bubuo ng sarili mong kwento. Kung hindi man umayon sa iyo ang lahat ng mga pangyayari sa iyong paligid, maaring madamo, makalat, madilim ang daan patungo sa mga pangarap mo. Pero ikaw, at ikaw rin ang magtatabas ng damo, maglilinis ng sukal, magsisiga upang maging maliwanag ito. You are an Envergan dreamer and soon to be an Envergan achiever. It just takes one person to believe in you and for you to turn that dreamer now to an achiever tomorrow. And that is yourself mismo.